first subject is the economy. What are the most important factors for growing the economy? How can we diversify the Iowa economy?
Well, thank you. I want to just, give you just a round of applause for just hosting this. So please give yourself a round of applause. Thank you. My name is Phyliss Thede. Just if you don't know my name, I have been the state representative for the last 4 years, and surprising, I'm hoping to go back. I really enjoy what I'm doing. We're not done yet. There's lots of things to be done, and so I'm hoping to go back to finish those things up. The question about the economy, let me tell you some of the things that we have done at the state level. About 3 years ago, we put together a program that would help small businesses. It was a low-cost loan that would allow businesses to access. And how we got the word out was that we did an online talk, and we engaged people who were interested in starting their own business to come online and tell us what they needed for a small business loan and how we could help them. That was very advantageous for a lot of people, and as a matter of fact, many people took advantage of that and currently are operating business through that small business loan. So I think it's important that we make sure that this is viable for businesses. In the way of, for the economics, we need to, in schools, especially in schools, we need to make sure that kids are aware that they are part of the solution when it comes to the economy. And we've talked about this a little bit. We talked about retaining our children that are going to school here after they leave college, and we want to make sure they come back. And so how do we do that? We do that through some mentorships, through the people that have businesses here in our school systems. If we can get them to work with us, and they do, that's one way that we can make sure kids survive in our economy here in Davenport.
Mr. Nelson.
Thank you. I'm Mark Nelson. I'm a candidate in House District 93 also. The thing we need to realize is that jobs happen in various different marketplaces and environments, and Iowa is a high-cost market. It's one of the highest cost markets in the nation. The Tax Foundation traditionally ranks Iowa in the lower half, and in most cases in the lower quintile, in terms of its tax burden, especially corporate taxes and property taxes. Our property taxes on many properties are higher than anywhere else in the nation. I do property tax appeal work throughout the Midwest region in Iowa. By far, it's almost punitive, the rates here, and that we are overly regulated, and that the regulations stymie or chase away jobs. Those translate when you have a high tax environment, a high regulatory compliance. They're not going to expand here. They're going to go someplace else where those costs are lower, and they're also going to pay lower wages to the employees that come here. So we need to change the environment for work here. We need to lower our tax structure. We need to, from a regulatory standpoint, bring the businesses that are being regulated into the regulation process, so we have common sense regulation. I was running because the property tax reform bills they were putting forward last year were nonsensical. I'll say that about the Republican proposal too, as somebody who works and has actively involved in property taxes for over 20 years. It didn't reflect the way the market looks at property taxes. Same with corporate tax. It's overly complicated. We need to simplify that system. I agree with Bill and Sean ahead of me that I don't think we need a corporate income tax structure here because it's typically just used to hand out work, to hand out welfare, corporate welfare. We get rid of it, we get rid of that welfare structure. And when we create an environment that is conducive to job growth, we'll have more jobs.
Okay, the next subject is healthcare, and the question is, given the complexities of federal and state healthcare laws, what are some of the key issues and measures that you support? What measures are you against, and what are your alternatives? Representative Thede?
Okay, yesterday, let me just say, yesterday I got a chance to go to the dental thing that they had yesterday down at the River Center. And I want to tell you, that was the UN of a wonderful organization. Didn't matter who you were, didn't matter where you came from. It was an all-inclusive venture. And I tell you, I was very proud of the people that put this on. All volunteers. They did a fantastic job. This is the way I believe our healthcare should work as well. You saw people coming together to solve one single problem. Health, dental health in this case. We should be able to do this with healthcare. The argument is not that we don't need it, because we all need it. We're all in disagreement how we get there. So how do we do that? How do we go from the different dissensions about healthcare? Well, I think our conversation really needs to start in a different place. We need to have better conversation with the insurance companies. We've gotten around that. You and all of us have argued about insurance, but we haven't talked to the people that provide the insurance. We need to have those conversations. And you, as a consumer, you need to help direct that conversation. You're the consumer, you're the one who is buying it, so we need to have that conversation, and we need to have better direction. That's what I see healthcare becoming much better. So as we move forward, I think we need to have stronger conversation about this piece, and if we do that, I think it's better for ourselves. We need to say for ourselves, this is what we want for healthcare. And we have been poor at doing that. I think we need to start doing that.
Mr. Nelson, the insurance industry from a medical perspective is one of the most heavily regulated, government-dominated industries. And in any industry where you have a single payer or a single person, an entity doing so much to drive the market, it distorts it. It makes it very, very difficult to have any kind of innovation or better delivery service. Look at some ancillary businesses that go on for classes, and even for ophthalmology, for LASIK surgery. Active marketplace. Very, very competitive. Very service-oriented. Dentists. Phyllis mentioned the program they did downtown. Tons of dentists or friends of many who were down there yesterday. But you can call and talk to a dentist and find out what they charge, what it's going to cost. Chiropractors. Any number of other small ancillary healthcare businesses that are active marketplaces, and we don't have problems with those marketplaces. Doctors, my doctor, because of a lipid profile and other reasons, said I should have a stress test when I turn 50. I called around to find out what one would cost. I have good insurance. No one would tell me what the test would cost. I'm not willing to go in and open up my checkbook unless I know what it's going to cost. Well, because the insurance industry dictates to them how they should do things. We need a lot more transparency. Earlier, someone talked about maybe we'll buy insurance across state lines. A lot more competition coming into those marketplaces would solve the majority of those problems, and then allow what is a highly compassionate, highly charitable society to step in and create that safety net and provide the services to those that are most in need. No one goes without health care in our communities. Our hospitals open up the day. It's not the most efficient and effective means of providing it, but there's no reason for someone to be without it.
The next question falls under the category of immigration. How should Iowa handle undocumented workers and their children living in the state? Representative Thede?
Yes, thank you. As others have said before, we have an existing, and this really falls into the area of federal. So we have an existing law. I think we need to make sure that we access that law and interpret it as it's written. There needs to be some reform with it, yes, but it's already in existence, and we need to use that system that's there. One of the things that I have been very fortunate to do is that I've gotten a chance to work with the Iowa youth folks, and they are absolutely phenomenal. These are a group of young people that come and meet with the state legislators, and they talk about the things that are important to them. They talk about the things that's going to help them in the future. And so some will become politicians, some will become doctors, some will become teachers, but it's a great organization to help build these students to grow in the educational system, be a part of it, and understand their role, not only as a student, but as a possible employer or a possible employee. So it covers a wide range. So we're looking at something that will help benefit young kids that are here, and that's what we need to do, from preschool all the way till they get to college. So we need to make sure that these young people are integrated within the system. We have to do that. So if we want, and actually, if we look, I think it was in 2010 when we looked at the census then, it showed that Iowa had grown in diversity. and the various and Hispanic and African American and various groups. So we recognize that. So we need to make sure that we have programs like this one I talked about, that they're out there so kids can take advantage of this.
Mr. Nelson.
As others have stated before, this is more of a federal issue. There are federal laws in place, and to the degree that it's possible, we should enforce them. I tend to have a little more open-minded or market-driven philosophy on this. If they're here to better themselves, and they're here for jobs. And that is why almost all of our ancestors came across. The other part of that, I think, is a historical perspective, is that we generally integrated very, very well everybody we've had trouble with. And that trouble, it goes back to the know-nothings in the 1800s, where the anti-Catholic sentiment, or Abraham Lincoln owning stock in a German-speaking newspaper so he could own that vote. So wondering whether we were going to civilize the Catholic Irish and the Catholic Italians. And the Italians have done pretty well. On Labor Day, I'm a little worried about the Irish. But we have integrated and assimilated all of those different cultures, so there's really nothing to be afraid of here. It's a matter of creating systems that welcome and take advantage of the labor and allow those people to be aspirational, whoever they might be. I have bumped into the Bosnian community that comes into Waterloo on a regular basis. They're here for the same reason. They're chasing jobs and trying to better themselves, and we need to honor that and respect that.
And in the area of education, should we increase the percentage of Iowa's budget going to education? Why or why not? Representative Thede?
You know, I've noticed for the last 4 years, we have had this conversation about allowable growth. And it's a topic that's really important. And whether you're for or against it, I mean, that's an issue you'll have to wrestle with. But here's the real issue with allowable growth. The whole point, what we're talking about, growing the economy, we also need to make sure that education is also growing. If we don't do that, what is going to happen to our students? So it's not an issue if we should or shouldn't. It's an issue that we need to. We absolutely need to. There are other couple of pieces that I would like to see infused, and some of it already exists, so I'm just going to kind of be repetitive a little bit. But some of the things that I would like to see more in the school system is, I talked about mentorships. And while we do partners with things like John Deere, places like John Deere, there are other companies that we can partner with. We can partner with plumbers. We can partner with hotels. We need to partner with everyone so that when kids get out of school, and it was talked about earlier, not every kid is going to go to college, but we need to make sure kids can assimilate into the workforce. But the only way to do that is before they get out of high school. And the other piece I would like to see happen is something called early college high school. This program would work awesome. And I'll tell you this, it helps on two fronts. If a kid is interested in going to college, he can actually graduate, but by the time he graduates, he'll have a 2-year degree. That would help with finance for parents. Number two, maybe a child who's not interested in going to college can have a degree or a certification in, like I said, plumbing. But they're ready when they leave, ready to go into college, or they're ready to go into workforce. So there are two phases here that would work, and personally, I would like to see that implemented more into the school system. Thank you.
Mr. Nelson.
I'd like to see more money go into the classroom, and I'd like to see programs that and policy developed that puts more money with the child. In order to do that, I believe you need to bring the parents to the table, and they are the forgotten component of almost all the discussions around education. In order to put more money in the classroom, we need to look at models now and schools that do that very, very well and have better results. In Iowa, I think it's 19 of the top 20 elementary schools are faith-based schools who educate kids higher on standardized testing, higher on other things, at a much lower cost. If we can move more kids into environments like that, we're bettering our community and saving tax dollars. We need to provide more opportunities for our public schools to innovate and to be creative. Over half the dollars we spend on kids for education don't end up in the contract, they end up in overhead at the end of the administration. I've had several people in my door knocking come out who were school employees who were just frustrated with the system because so little money ends up in the classroom for kids, and the bureaucracy just grows and grows and grows. In order to cut that red tape, we need to create more opportunities for parents in charge of where their kids go, charter schools, vouchers, increase the tax credits, increase the STOs, the student tuition organization money, and give parents more control and more input into education, and we'll get better results.
And you each have 1 minute for closing remarks. First, Representative Phyliss Thede.
Again, I want to begin by thanking you for putting this on. It's been absolutely fabulous. The only thing I would change is that when I tripped up the steps. But I concentrated on that, did come through. But at any rate, the one thing I do want to tell you today is that, you know, what is anybody in the political life? What do we stand for? And I thought about this for a little bit, and I thought, well, what do we stand for? What exactly do we want to do? My key thing in running as a legislator, I want to give you the great service that you deserve. That's what we are about. We are about giving you service. You request something from us, you ask us something, and we try to give you the best service that there is. Now, I know a lot of times you have been disgusted with politicians and the way that they do things, but remember, if you don't have the conversation with us, if you don't engage with us, that's where the problem begins and that's where the problem will lie. So I'm asking you to remember that this is a service. It's a service that we provide to you and for you, and I hope that you will decide that's what you need, because service is all what it's about. And so today, or tomorrow, and if you've already done it, I hope you have voted, and I hope you vote for me in November. Thank you.
Mr. Mark Nelson.
Thank you. I decided to run this spring because of the frustration with the property tax issues, and the more I got into it, the more I realized how much this is going to cost me. It's going to be a significant hit to my income because of the time. I really do not like the rancor and the back and forth that goes on with politics. It's really kind of a pain. But there are some things that we have in our system that I feel I'm uniquely equipped to go in and address and make better. Our tax structure, our property tax structure, our employment environment. My son left the state, so he couldn't just, I think he wanted to get away from me, but he also, you know, the job opportunities here were not there for him. I have a daughter who's moderately retarded in a group home out in the West. I'm worried about funding, and I'm worried about how stable her life's going to be in the future. We need to fix some of our structural problems within the state, and I have the tools to do that. I have the experience to do that. I'm in front of business owners 6 to 8 times a month, working with them very closely, and I understand how those things can be improved, and I appreciate the vote here in the election. Thank you.